Guys, welcome. It's episode 2 of the Lead from the Front podcast, and I'm joined here with Mr. Jack Richards, aka Mr. High Performance Project. And I thought I'd bring him on the podcast today because Jack is actually the client success coach inside Lead from the Front. So Jack helps me deliver. I spoke about him in the first episode. Jack's been through the whole program and he's completely changed his life and is now helping me deliver life-changing results to clients. So Jack, hello. Say hello.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast. It is an honour, to be honest. You know, it's been, I feel like, a long time coming in the evolution of myself and the evolution of Lead from the Front. You know, I think going from the point where I was actually a client, I think maybe I was like the third client from Lead from the Front.
Yeah.
Now I'm way further down the line and I'm actually now here to be a client success coach. It's, you know, amazing to be on this podcast and very, very exciting.
Yeah, awesome. So a little bit of context. Obviously this is episode 2 of the podcast. We don't have a clue what we're doing. Like literally we've just been faffing around with, I've got the laptop here, that's recording the audio file. We've got my camera literally set up on a tripod and we're going to improve it. But like I said in the first podcast, we are big believers in imperfect action, just getting started, and then quantity of doing something creates quality as you refine it. So sod it, we're just doing it anyway, and then we're going to get it posted because it's the content that is very, very valuable. So what have we done today? Jack actually came up to my humble abode, that is where we are now, sat at the dining table. And what have we done today?
So I arrived this morning at about 10 o'clock.
That's it.
What did we do? We went to Coffee One, got ourselves a nice coffee, didn't we? We did a bit of planning. We like to check in on a Wednesday morning with how our clients are doing. We've got like a traffic light system on the go, haven't we?
Yes.
To make sure we know exactly where our clients are at, what's going on, and to just give a 5-star service, you know. Did that this morning, had a catch up, went through some important business stuff, didn't we?
Beers news.
Then we went to the gym.
Yeah, went to the gym. Yes, we went to the gym, did some weightlifting. We've both done weightlifting. I used to compete, like I said in the first episode. Jack I coached Jack, and Jack was a very strong chap, and still is a very strong chap. So we so we did a bit of he eats his Weetabix, let's put it that way. We did a bit of weightlifting, that was fun. Went a bit off piste. Then we did some strength work, which I don't like doing strength work next to Mr. Bench Press, who's like smashing up 50 kilo dumbbells like it's fun.
That's why I come into my prime.
Yeah.
Not the other way though, when Isaac's about to tell you.
And then we did a little bit of a fitness WOD, so that was really fun. We did assault bike, burpee box jumps, and we did sandbag to shoulder. You know, they were quite heavy, but good fun.
Yeah.
Very good fun. And what was really funny, right, is we went there and we actually came back and we had a full-on morning, like doing that traffic light system where we talk through every single client who's inside the Lead from the Front program individually. We talk out, right, are they in red, i.e. we don't have a clue what planet they're on, what they're working on, where they're at, they've gone AWOL. Are they in amber, i.e. we're a little bit unsure what they're actually working on, or green, and the criteria for green is, do they know what they need to be working on, what is their right next step to be working on, and do we know as the coaches what they are working on. So we basically talk through every single client individually, and there's at the moment I think about 25 clients in there, so it's quite a time consuming process, but it's very worthwhile. And then we check in with them and do all that stuff. But we then had some other work that we did afterwards, and our brain was a bit fried, to put it mildly. But anyway, long story short, we went to the gym to break up the day a little bit. We had every intention of doing this in the background. And then the problem is, right, with Jack and myself.
The problem with me. Yeah, but
we were laughing, like everything we speak about, our whole livelihood, our whole profession, everything we talk about with clients is so thought-provoking, self-reflection, development. our brain, even after like a few hours together, it's quite funny, just turns into a fried egg. Like, we just turn into mush. So we were like, we really want to do this podcast and like just get it going. And we had every intention of doing it now, which we're doing now, which is nice. But we were like, right, we need to just stop at lunch. We need to get some food. So we stopped at Tesco, didn't we?
Yeah.
Got some Yo Sushi, and came back, heated it up, and we just had to watch Netflix and like kind of stop talking.
We had to let our brains sort of come back down to baseline again.
Yeah. So that was quite funny. And then we just watched. I like watching Friends. Jack, you like watching Friends?
Yeah.
We've seen every episode like 20 times, but the reason we're doing that is because it's just we need to let our brains rest. Because we were talking earlier and we were like, oh my god, if only there was a camera rolling, because this would be such a good podcast episode. So we literally had to stop talking and watch Netflix just to have a rest so we could get back into doing it tonight. So that was just quite cool.
But the funniest bit about it is, right, we've been working hard all day. Me and Isaac work hard, and the one time we sit down on the sofa, Paul comes in.
And Paul is Connie, my fiance, her dad. Yeah.
Paul comes in the door, and we're sat on our Todd watching Friends. It makes it look like we don't work very hard, but yeah, we had a chuckle at that, didn't we?
Yeah, he did. He just came in and was like, all right, guys, you don't work too hard. So he stitched us up there. But we're big believers of work hard, rest hard, okay, and play hard as well. But yes, so here we are. We've recovered from our little break, watching Netflix, watching Friends. And we want to go into a really important, that's the longest waffly introduction ever, but we really want to go into one thing. And we were chatting about this earlier, and we were like, what is one of the main differences between like how we think as coaches and how we help clients compared to people who stay stuck, okay? And we realised that we as coaches, i.e. me and Jack, the coaches inside, lead from the front, and how we work with clients, we do two things, okay? We remove barriers, okay, and we find reasons to do something, okay? We find reasons to do it. And then the big difference between us and other people and people who stay stuck, and we talk to tons of people, like every single week, and some people end up joining the program, some people end up not joining for whatever reason. A lot of the time is around their current belief system, the current way that they're doing things keeps them stuck. And they do this, they create barriers and find reasons not to do something. That was the biggest thing. So to sum up, I just waffled that again. We remove barriers and find reasons to do something, and then other people, they create barriers and find reasons not to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, that's not something that me and Isaac have never had a problem with, you know, as individuals aspiring to become better versions of ourselves. It's just a very common thing that people experience in their physical, personal, professional life, you know. It's quite easy to put a barrier in place in your life because it means you don't have to lean into doing the bigger tasks, which are actually going to be able to gravitate you towards where you need to go. It's much easier to just put a barrier in place, say, you know, I can't do that, that's not who I am, and just, you know, fall to the wayside. But us as coaches, that just goes against the lead from the front ethos. You know, we are here to remove barriers and give you a clear plan of action to help people move forwards. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people get such good results here. You know, because we understand that people have problems, you know, we all have our own lives, but we're also very good at helping people remove barriers, get crystal clear on what they need to be able to do and move forwards.
100%. I was going to say something and then my brain just wandered, but what was I going to say? I can't even remember. It's ironic because one of the things we do help people do is teach them to think properly, but I've just had a brain fart, so
these things happen. It's absolutely fine. And I think, you know, when I joined Lead from the Front, a massive thing for me was just I didn't realise I had barriers. I didn't realise I was putting barriers up. And if you don't have a coach or another set of eyes around you like we are,
Yeah.
I like to think that we oversee what happens.
Yes.
When you don't have someone doing that, it means that you can't even tell that there's barriers in place.
Yes.
So you could be going through your day-to-day life, and sometimes you can think that the world is not giving you what you deserve, but it's actually yourself putting barriers in the way. And we help people with their level of awareness, don't we?
Yes.
Because that is what upskills people to be able to see what is going on. We talk about vision all the time, not the ability to see with your eyes as such, but to be able to see with your mind's eyes. And I think
For sure.
that's why that's something we try to help people do.
Yeah, 100%. And this follows on, it's come back to me now, but I think part of the reason that so many people like create barriers for themselves is because that it's known. Like where the position you're in now, like watching this, listening to us speak, it is known. You understand like what that feels like, even if it's not serving you, even if it's not actually beneficial to what you say you want to achieve or where you actually want to go, you know what it feels like. So even if it's uncomfortable, it's safe and it's easier to like stay there and create a barrier and say like, you know, people who apply to work with us inside the program, it's like, oh yeah, I could do it, but I've got this in the way. Oh yeah, I could do it, but I just need to do this. Can I go away and just think about it? And it's like, you know, I'm fully supportive of people thinking, right? This is a big part of what we do. We help people think effectively. But the problem is with the people who are reaching out to us is that, first of all, they reached out for a reason. And that's because they're not in a position that they actually want to be. So you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. That was Albert Einstein that said that. And you cannot do it. So if you knew how to solve your problem, like what is thinking about it actually going to do? Other than one of the biggest challenges that we help people solve is people come to us and they say, I just overthink. I go into a negative headspace. I spiral, I catastrophize when things go wrong. I beat myself up. And if that is your default way of thinking, then how is going away to think about something on your own going to solve a problem when actually the thinking is solving the problem, creating the problem in the first place?
Yeah, and I think this comes down to something that we bang on about all the time as coaches, that our clients must get absolutely fed up with us about this. But we go on about taking action fast all the time. So when we talk about taking action, we mean following through with the tasks that need to be done in order to help you move forwards in your physical, personal, professional life. Now, obviously, that can feel really difficult at certain times, but in order to do that, it helps you build trust, character, confidence, it helps you move forwards. You know, we talk about imperfect action, don't we?
Yeah.
We work with people that want to be perfect straight away, and it's you have to earn the right to build quality, like you said already.
Yeah.
And like always striving for perfection is something we don't like to do, because perfection is the enemy of done at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to take action, move forwards is really important. I feel like I've gone off on a tangent here, but
no, spot on. I mean, I suppose that's the benefit of podcasting. This is we again, like I said, don't know what we're doing, but I think this demonstrates the point in that we know we're very good at what we help people do. The results that we get with people are incredible. We've had people say, you saved my marriage, you saved my life has completely changed. Like, we are very good at that, but we aren't going to get better at doing podcasts if we put it off and try and think about it. Oh, I've thought about doing a podcast for a very long time, but the reason I didn't, you know, I spoke in the first episode, I was so focused on prioritizing the results with clients, getting very good at the skill of coaching and giving people great results. You know, bringing Jack on board as a coach, because Jack's been on board almost a year now, upskilling Jack as well, and like he's come on leaps and bounds and transitioning from client to coach. That's why I've put it off, not because I was waiting for things to be perfect. And yeah, this is just a perfect example, ironically, of imperfect action. Like, we've got audio on a laptop, we're talking to a camera, and we will refine it as we go, but we're okay with that because we're not expecting to be perfect within a second.
yeah, and I think it just instills the lead from the front ethos again. You know, we want to be a beacon of hope for people around us, to be a guiding light. And this is an example of how we do it. We're not ready, but we know we've got to take action, because if we do it, people will follow.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is a powerful thing. And that's what we want our clients to do. We want to help yourself and our clients instill that same level of thinking, and that is really, really important.
Yeah.
So Isaac, what would you say would be like really some like big takeaways, anything that would be like a big point for someone who's like listening to this thinking, I've got some barriers in my life and I'm struggling to remove them. What would be like a piece of information that would help someone going forwards right now?
Couple of things, right? If you're sat there, and I guarantee there will be people listening to this who've seen maybe my content, and not the new listeners who have no clue who I am, the people who've like maybe followed me on social media and stuff like that, and or maybe seen my stuff, applied before, or thought about joining, or are currently in the process of thinking about joining. Couple of things. If you're thinking like I said, at the moment you're creating barriers. You're thinking, I could do that, but there's something in the way. This is in the way. Why? Why is that a barrier? I want you to literally just ask yourself, and I don't necessarily know the answer to that, but I want you to just take a second now, literally pause this podcast and ask yourself, why am I creating this barrier for myself? Like, why am I stopping myself from moving forward and being the person that I want to be and making, taking the action I want?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good first point to make, because one of the most important things when it comes to removing barriers is having that level of awareness that we spoke about. And for a lot of people, to put a barrier in place would be a default setting. It'd just be, that's what I do.
Yes. That's
what I do. But by Isaac and myself asking that question, why are you doing it? We have to raise a level of self-awareness first. Why is it happening? But then before we then go off in a different direction, and try to go off on a different trajectory.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose the other thing I was going to say was, so that's the first thing, like Jack said, increase self-awareness, ask yourself why. But the next thing was, what happens if you carry on doing what you're doing? Like, what is the cost of not changing anything? Just take a second and really think, like, the position I'm in right now, how I feel about myself on a daily basis, the shape of my body and physique and how I feel within my skin, like the conversation that goes on in my head with myself. If you do nothing, and I'm not even on about whether you work with us or not, like, obviously we're biased, we are very good, and we say, yeah, we're the best ones to go to. But regardless of whatever it is, even if it's like getting a journal, like doing something positive for yourself, if you do nothing, what is the cost of that? Like, what are you missing out on by doing nothing and choosing to put a barrier? Like, what you missing? I had some really good conversations recently. January is a time of year where actually, and this is a really good thing. Like, I've spoken to a lot of people in January who said, yeah, I really want to do this, I really want to change, and then I've explained how it works, and they're putting barriers in place. And it's like, why do you need to put barriers in place, and what is the cost of you staying where you are right now?
I think it raises a big question inside your head, and it's important to understand that when you think about this, not just to think about you as your own being, but like, when you improve yourself, when you improve the way you think, the way you look, the way you identify yourself, the way you behave, it spills into other areas of your life. So what's the cost of not doing it? Not just for yourself, but the people around you, your relationships, your ability to, if you're someone who wants to talk at a social event, to be able to, I know if you're part of a team sport, to be able to be someone that leads in that environment. It doesn't just stop at you. It carries on into all areas of life, your professional life, personal life. It just carries on.
Yeah, 100%. I had a really good conversation with someone who's applied recently, and it was really highlighted that something that was really important then was like family time with their family, and like really being like a great role model. And it's like, if you are the sort of person at the moment, and I just want to make it clear as well, everything we're talking about here is not from a place of judgment, because we have been there, and we have been these people who've created barriers, but we have been through that pain, and like we fast track people, so you take our lessons, so you don't need to as much, right? So this isn't from a place of judgment, but it's like you're saying you really want to, you know, show up at your best for your family, right, and fulfill your potential. How can you fulfill your potential and show up at your best for your family if you are putting barriers in place and keeping yourself exactly where you are, which you've just, you know, pardon me, highlighted that you're not happy with? You know, how is that going to change anything?
Yeah, and I think that's just something really important to think about going forward. You know, and these are all questions we ask ourselves on a daily basis. You know, like Isaac said, we're not here to judge. These are actually problems we've had ourselves. Okay, and it's problems we have day to day and throughout our life. But yeah, do you think there's any other advice that we need to give there, or so obviously raise that level of awareness, think about why, and then think about what's the cost of not doing this? What's the cost of not implementing? Is there anything else you'd say?
I suppose like when we're working with clients, like we always like to leave people like on the trainings that we deliver and stuff like that. And we always like to give people questions so that they can reflect on actually what's going on in their life, and you know, see what comes up for them based on the topic that we're talking about. So, you know, you listening or watching this now, I'd love for you to think, what do I want to achieve? Like in an ideal world, you wave a magic wand, bam, you're there. Like, what would life look like? What would it feel like? Get really clear on that. And then ask yourself, what barriers am I putting in place to me actually doing that? Okay, if you know you want to get in shape, but you're currently like either half-assing your training or not training at all, like what barriers are you currently putting in place? Identify them first. Are you thinking, I can't afford that? Okay, or if you want a coach, I can't afford that. Or I don't have the time, I need time and energy to like commit to it properly. Get really clear, what are the barriers that are actually that you're putting in place to stopping that happen. Once you're aware of them first, you have to have self-awareness first, you then have the power to change it, okay? That's what I would suggest doing first as like a first action step.
Yeah.
And then once you've identified what the barriers are, ask yourself, do I actually want to do anything about it? Because a lot of people say they do, but when it actually comes to it, they're either not motivated enough to chase a positive outcome, or they're not in enough pain, they're not in enough discomfort to actually do anything about it. Okay, do I actually want to do anything about it? If the answer is yes, sort your shit out, like do something about it. What am I going to do about it would be the third question. Where do I want to be? Actually, that'll be fourth question.
Potentially.
Where do I want to be? Get clear on that first. What barriers am I putting in place? Do I actually want to change it? And then what am I going to do about it? Is what I would say.
Yeah, nice, perfect. And I think that's some great action steps to be left with after some very big thoughts there.
Very big thoughts.
Very good. And
we're going to leave you there, I think, unless there's anything you want to add.
No, I think that would be plenty of information for our listeners to go away with.
Oh gosh. We love Tom Skinner. We see a lot of him. Google, I think he's like I am real Tom Skinner.
Yeah, I think it is that.
He was on The Apprentice, the Cockney guy.
Bit of a joker.
Yeah, he's the absolute governor. Awesome. But yeah, we're going to leave you there. I hope you found that useful. This is episode 2, obviously, of the Lead from the Front podcast. I probably should research this. I don't know what you do on a podcast. Is it like no, that's YouTube. Like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, because I think we will at some point do that. That'd be amazing if you found it useful. And then on the podcast, follow, is it? Follow,
pass it on.
Subscribe.
Tell someone else about it.
Yeah, Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Do whatever you've got to do there. We'll research it as we get better. But hope you found that useful. Peace. See you on the next episode.
Take it easy.